Films and television series, premieres at movie theaters and international film festivals. Lives of film stars and other daily activities. Stay up to date with everything that is happening in Kazakh cinema by watching Price of Admission.
On today's program, Timur Bekmambetov talks about his new space film First Time, the premiere of Slepaya Lyubov, a melodrama starring Kazakh pop singers. Faces of Kazakh cinema, Aldiyar, Bairakimov. At first, I was skeptical about the success of film First Time, since it is the first Russian film set in space. I thought that it would be virtually impossible to achieve the same level of visual special effects that we have already witnessed in such feature films as Gravity, The Martian and Interstellar. What is most interesting is that film director Dmitry Kiselyov and film producer Timur Bekmambetov went a completely different direction. They didn't set out to make a science fiction film. Instead, they focused on creating an epic historical drama which is based on true facts. Attention, Moscow is speaking. Central Television and all radio stations are covering this event. Vesna Zarya, this is Almaz. A man has just stepped in outer space. Zarya 1, this is Almaz. My physical condition is normal. I see Caucasus below me. I was the first one to go where nobody has ever set foot before. I was lucky. I remember everyone who didn't come back. Synopsis, film treatment and eventually the screenplay were adapted from Alexei Leonov's interviews regarding his unique mission. I would like to pay respect to this land and the people who inhabit it. The main event took place here on the morning of 18th of March 1965. There was plenty of snowfall during the launch. I had never seen the snowy Kazakh steppe before. After the end of this mission, I returned to Kazakhstan in order to thank Kazakh people for all they had done. Speaking of writing process, it was a truly unique experience. I haven't had such opportunities before. One can only pray for similar collaboration. For the first time in my career, I had a chance to work on film where the central character himself had told me how everything happened. Secondly, due to the various reasons, details of this mission were kept secret for 52 years. Finally, the fact that Alexei Arhipovich has been recounting to various people his account of the event for more than 50 years only made his story sound even more polished. It's like Kazakh oral tradition. Our folklore is preserved and transmitted orally from one generation to another. For example, national eposes had been undergoing many centuries of editing and polishing until they reached their final form. It's the same here. By that time, Leonov had already polished his story so well, so that when we recorded a conversation with him, it eventually served as a basis for our film treatment. 112, why aren't you jumping? 112, Leonov, what the hell is going on out here? He's crazy. Just what we need. We didn't hold casting call for the main role since it was Zhenya Mironov who came to me first with the idea to make this film, not I. The whole project began as a result of his idea to portray Alexei Arhipovich and become a cosmonaut. Speaking of Kostya Khabensky, he is one of my most trusted colleagues and actors. He bears striking resemblance to Belyaev, both physical and in character. Belyaev also had that same modesty and inner strength. Lyosha, you have probably misunderstood. We aren't supposed to jump right now. Who said that? The instruction. Is it necessary to fly out there? I can see the stars even through the ceiling. I'm not fit for the job. I don't care. You are my partner. The risk of launching Vashod 2 with people on board is too big. We are willing to take the risk. Alexei Arkhippovich Leonov has taught us a valuable lesson. I think that Timo will agree with me on that. There was one scene in which Korolev falls on the floor as a result of a heart attack. When we screened the film to Leonov, he asked us to delete this scene. It was a very beautiful and perfectly shot scene. Dima filmed it very realistically. You could almost feel the pain just by watching it. It was a very emotional experience. When Leonov said to us that he liked the film except for this one particular scene, we asked him to explain it to us. He just said that heroes don't fall, and that's why Korolev could not fall in front of the whole audience. The Americans are almost ready to conduct extravehicular activity. Vashod spacecraft must be launched earlier. An untested spacecraft will not take off from Earth. Then you have to try harder than that. Attention, Moscow is speaking. Today, on 18th of March 1965, man has just stepped in outer space. What's with the pressure? Almaz 2, are you all right? Alexei, answer me. Why are you silent? Zarya, this is Almaz. I'm about to enter the airlock, awaiting further orders. Are you proposing to leave them in orbit? Sometimes soldiers die for the interests of their country. Will father be back when I wake up? He will try very hard. Lyosha, there is not enough air. Lyosha. We'll see who's best. The true story of cosmonauts Belyaev and Leonov touched me much more than Hollywood fantasies. I think this is one of the film's greatest achievements. I'm also very proud of the fact that Timur Bekmambetov has served as producer of this space adventure. As he noted during the press conference, the film has been released in Kazakhstani theaters in both Russian and Kazakh languages. According to producer, about 25 voice actors have participated in the creation of high-quality dubbing version for this film. Azamat Kanapiya dubbed the main character, Gani Kuljanov voiced Khabensky's role, while the role of Sergei Korolev was dubbed by Bakhidjan Alpiisov.
На самом деле была тщательная работа над дубляжом. Бұл да кинотеатрда шықты.
This film was released in theaters in Kazakh language. Thanks to the efforts of Bolashak Foundation, there is a growing number of quality Kazakh language dubbed films. I'm very proud of that since I have already participated in dubbing of 16 feature films, 70% of which were leading roles.
Соның ішінде 70%-дайын басты рөлдерді дубляждадым. Қуаныштымын әрине.
This is a second Kazakhstani premiere of our film. I was especially glad to take part in this project since the film is set in space. I also cannot but rejoice that this film was produced by our fellow countryman Timur Bekmambetov. This gives us incentives to deliver better quality results.
Бұл екі есе бір қуаныш сыйлады да, жақсы бір дубляж жасауға бізге сондай бір ынта, жігер берді.
Я очень рад, когда впервые услышала возможность.
I was very glad when I first heard about the possibility of releasing our film in both Russian and Kazakh. It was symbolically important for me since I grew up in Kazakhstan. I lived here until I was 17 years old. Back then, there were no Kazakh language films in movie theaters. Foreign films weren't dubbed into Kazakh. There simply wasn't much attention paid to the development of national languages. That is why I grew up to be a person who doesn't speak his native language. For me, it is very important that Kazakh-speaking audience could watch this film in Kazakh.
И он бы зазвучал на казахском языке, чтобы зритель мог посмотреть на своем языке.
A dangerous trend in commercial Kazakh cinema, which is the prevalence of trash films in the domestic market. This could be attributed to the very nature of free market economy, since our film industry freed itself from the ideological control and became subject to the market forces which exist in a free market environment. It has been overflowing with new content being offered by the new players. Speaking of comedies, they are made mostly by former KVN players. If we are talking about melodramas, we almost immediately assume our pop singers. Finally, action films are usually made by unfulfilled and frustrated filmmakers. This has already happened with Kyrgyz and Uzbek film industries and is now taking place in Kazakh cinema. Unfortunately, melodrama Slepaya Lyubov is one of these types of products. The idea to make this film was supported by my friends and colleagues, one of whom was CV Mahmoudi. We joined our forces together and came up with this film. I hope that film goers will go to watch our film in theaters. Of course, we're not pretending that this is a masterpiece. It's a melodrama film aimed at a mass market audience. Hence, I hope that it would appeal to the mainstream viewing audience. Of course, the filmmaking process is not without difficulties. For me, the most difficult task was to portray the role of a blind woman. Then there was a crash scene where I had to get out from a burning vehicle which exploded beside me. When it exploded, I felt like my heart was going to burst out of my chest. There were difficulties at the beginning, but they are nothing compared to your future joy of seeing your work on screen.
Көп болды шыны керек. Бірақ ең басты жемісін көру ғой.
Дәл мұндай бақытты болам деп ойламағанмын.
I never thought that I would be so happy. You granted me a new life. I am very grateful to you. You are a good person. I know it. Nothing is pure in this life, not even love.
Сен жақсы адамсың. Мен оны білем.
It is a debut project for many of us. For me and CV, this is a debut film as film producers. It is also a debut for cinematographer Askar Sirikazin and film director Aldiyar Said. Hence, we are all first-timers. Our film director is originally from Uzbekistan. His name is Aldiyar Said. He is very well known in Uzbekistan for directing numerous commercials and music videos. Since recently, he has been working in Kazakhstan. It's his directorial debut. That's why he tried to do his best on this project. Since it is an international film, we also hope to release this film in Uzbekistan in near future, as soon as we complete dubbing it in Uzbek language. Don't know the exact number of stars and starlets of Kazakh pop music scene, but I can assure you that there will be more and more films of this kind that are produced for specific singers with the intent to profit from their current popularity. Maybe it's an inevitable stage in the development of national cinema. Some of these stars will eventually realize that it's better to remain in the music scene than try to break into the film industry. I have been following Aldiyar Bairakimov and Venera Kayrjanova's work since when they were the students of Jurgenov Kazakh National Academy of Arts. Back then they made a short film Costume. It tells the story of a young man who puts on his new suit each weekend and goes to a hospital to pay a visit to his ill mother. There he pretends to be a successful businessman, while in fact he turns out to be just a factory worker. It was followed by another interesting short thesis film Четвертый стул. Last year they made short drama Chlop Top, and now Aldiyar is on the verge of completing his new medium-length film Na grani. In my first year of college, I was given an assignment to write a screenplay. When I first wrote it, I immediately decided to put it on hold due to its complex nature and my lack of experience as a director. 7 years later, I submitted it to Kazakh Film Studio. The film studio got interested in it, and this is how my film project had been greenlit for production. Of course, it needed to be polished and strengthened a bit. Venera Kayrjanova, Bolat Iskakov helped me to finalize the script. Film has multiple storylines. Our first character is a teenager who comes from a dysfunctional family. He lives with his mother, stepfather, and stepbrother. We're showing his relationship with his family, school, etc. Will you give me your phone or not? I will give it to you back later. Let's finish this amicably. When will you return it? I will give it to you in 2 hours. Are you telling the truth? Sure, I promise. Are you a sissy? No. Then it's settled. Thanks. See you soon. The second story is about a guy who shares a flat with a disabled man. We were trying to show his search for his family. In the end, he finds it in his roommate. You have a wife and a daughter. Don't you want to know their whereabouts? Maybe you even have a grandson. Uncle Biket, you shouldn't get offended by that.
Biket ağa, ренжімеңізші.
Oh, come on. Uncle Biket, please, don't get offended. Back in the day, I could carry a cargo across the whole of the CIS faster than anyone. Now, I couldn't even cross the room without being helped. Nobody needs me. These two storylines intertwine and come together at the end of our film. Screenplay is 80% of success. And because of that, this time I and Venera put a huge emphasis on finalizing the screenplay. We didn't even have much time to hire the film crew. During pre-production period, we had to delegate some of our duties to our assistants. Up until the principal photography began, the screenplay hadn't been finished yet. In my opinion, development, i.e. the first stage of film production, during which the screenplay is written, is one of the most important parts of filmmaking process. Should I light more candles? There are still a few of them left. Maybe you're hungry. Uncle Biket, let's eat.
Biket ağa, жүріңізші, тамақ ішейік. Ауыраған екенсіз.
Ah, you must be cold.
Жаман, үстіңізге бірдеңе жамайын ба?
Let me cover you with something. Today, we have visited the premiere of Timur Bekmambetov's space film First Time, which is telling about the first human to take steps in outer space. We have also reviewed melodrama film Slepaya Lyubov and spoken with the talented film director Aldiyar Bairakimov, who has almost completed his latest film Na Grani. See you next time on Price of Admission.